We all need a mom. We need you to be Mamala of the country.
Mamala?
I love people. I love every human being on the planet. I'm fascinated, and everyone has a story.
But the thing that gives me the ick about it is that it's so performative.
I deeply apologize to writers. I deeply apologize to unions. I know there's just nothing I can do that will make this okay.
Drew Barrymore is in hot water after pissing off all of Hollywood. She might think she's being quirky, getting all handsy with her guests and sitting on her couch like a 6-year-old, but it's coming off cringe and unprofessional. And now Drew is struggling to save her reputation. So let's get into it. Now, I've been a big fan of Drew Barrymore, but I must admit her television show makes me incredibly uncomfortable. She has a talk show that she brings guests on, and she's constantly rubbing up on them, sitting on the couch with her shoes there, and just completely unprofessional. Now, Drew might think that this makes her seem more likable, more personal, but really it just makes everyone watching at home feel a little bit weird. But before we get into some of her bizarre moments, I want to talk to you about who Drew is. Now, Drew Barrymore has spent her entire life in the spotlight. Born to Hollywood royalty, she filmed her first commercial at 11 months old. Now, this is usually when people, babies, start to learn their first words, and she was already put to work.
This is a baby, and this is a baby. They both have special nutritional needs. That's why a baby should have his very own baby food, and why a puppy should have his very own puppy food.
That's you right there, right?
I think we can all agree that is a cute commercial, and Drew appears to be bright and bubbly. She seems like someone who isn't afraid to open up. But despite these positive characteristics, many people seem to strongly dislike her, both for aspects of her personality and for actions she's taken in the past. Let's start off by talking about her warmth and her kindness, because it comes off fake to a lot of people, myself included. Now, Drew Barrymore's most recent brush with internet hate comes after her interview with Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, these two sat close together on the couch, as Drew does, and she was quoted saying, "I've been thinking in my head that we all really need a mom. I've been thinking that we all really need a tremendous hug in the world right now, but in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country." Her name is Kamala. She thought it would be cute to call her Mamla. It's just kind of cringe. Now, it turns out Vice President Harris is actually called Mamala by her stepchildren Cole and Emma. And of course, the nickname is a mix of her name with the word mama. But after her declaration, Drew Barrymore leaned in and took Kamala's hands in her own. And she said, "When we lift each other up, we all rise," which sounds like a ChatGPT quote.
We all need a mom. I've been thinking that we really all need a tremendous hug in the world right now. But in our country, we need you to be Mamala of the country.
Now, you might have thought that was a sweet moment, and it kind of is, but it's also just so uncomfortable. After the interview aired, it didn't take long for people to express their extreme distaste for how Drew conducted herself with the vice president, which I think it's almost like dealing with royalty. These are like our kings and queens if we were to have a monarchy. So you don't just grab their hands and sit on the couch all comfy and disrespect our world leaders like this. There's a TikTok I came across that I'm in love with, because the way that she describes Drew Barrymore and how she's trying to be perceived is right on point.
You know that video of Kamala going around with Drew Barrymore where she's like, we need you to be the country's Mamala? So the thing that's driving me crazy and that I can't stop thinking about is the fact that now a lot of people are talking about it, but this is the thing. When Drew Barrymore first started that show, I immediately got the ick from the way she interviewed her guests. So what she does is she builds the premise of her entire show as if it's a revolutionary act to interview people barefoot and with her legs crossed, because she's basically unmasking from office culture, and thinking that that's some new, crazy, vulnerable thing. But the thing that gives me the ick about it is that it's so performative. When I first saw that show come out, I remember being immediately put off, because I'm very sensitive to body language. And it's such a perfect example to me about how we are so easily duped by the difference between performative niceness and the actual integration of being kind.
Now, this TikToker is open about her autism, and people who are typically autistic, they don't like to be touched. A lot of people in general, they don't like to be touched. So I wonder if someone is going on the Drew Barrymore show, are they giving like a heads up that, yeah, this woman is going to try to caress you and probably try to get you to cry because she wants to get clicks. And it makes me question, like, how good of an actress is Drew Barrymore? I mean, is this all an act? Because she must not be that great because nobody's buying it. And I don't think it's just the viewers at home that feel uncomfortable. I mean, even the vice president is clearly uncomfortable in this setting.
Yeah, the monologue clip is all-time cringe. Even Kamala cringed. If you're making Kamala cringe, Mamala, you see, that's the type of thing I would expect from someone that would sit that close to me on a couch. If there's one thing about me, give me my space.
Keep in mind that Kamala has to deal with a bunch of different people, and I wouldn't be surprised if Drew was one of the more difficult ones. This person commented, you know who could also use a hug? All the writers Drew Barrymore passed when she crossed the picket line. Another person commented, good lord, this is so cringe. And then finally, this person wrote, Drew practically sat in her lap. And that's where my discomfort comes in. Like, I don't want anyone touching me, especially like, I don't know. I don't want any women touching me either. I'm a gay man. I don't want a man touching me unless you're my boyfriend, and I definitely don't want a woman touching me. So if she were to get all touchy-feely, I would probably tell her, excuse me. Many content creators have remarked that Drew's interview style makes her seem like she has no concept of personal space. She sits with her legs tucked under to show how cool and casual she is. She's a close talker who touches her guests often, sometimes even getting on the floor and hugging them. She better have a fresh breath getting all in people's faces like this. Drew actually commented on her interview style in a conversation with Jimmy Fallon, noting her fascination with people is what drives her to get all comfortable and try to get them vulnerable. But in my personal opinion, like I said, I think it's to try to make these people express emotion, to kind of clickbait them. Like, she's really trying to push their emotions and get a reaction, and she will use her body language to do that.
You guys are basically like spooning almost.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, and we got much closer than that at certain points too.
Yeah.
I'm on my knees, I'm hugging.
Yeah, here's Chloe Bailey right here.
Yep,
Look at this one.
Yep, that's.
Yeah, you're doing. You can't sit in your chair.
No, I feel
get in there.
This magnetic pull. I love people. I love every human being on the planet.
Yeah,
I'm fascinated, and everyone has a story. It's so fun to literally get to be a conversationalist at work.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing in the world.
Now, I consider myself a friendly person. I like a lot of people, but I do not like everyone. And Drew saying, oh, she loves everyone, it's just unrealistic. So you love Jeffrey Dahmer? So you like the perverts out there? You like little creeps that are in prison for crimes? You like the murderers? You like all of them? I just like, oh God, like, let's be real for once. The way that Drew Barrymore conducts herself in her interviews give fans such an ick that it's become a meme. It's like universally known that if you're going to watch the Drew Barrymore show, you're going to be cringing. Let's take a look at some of these tweets. This person writes, the guest, can I be honest for a moment? And Drew Barrymore all up in their face saying, this is a safe space, go on. Another person wrote, Drew Barrymore during an interview, and it's a woman looking under a stall. We've got another clip where Drew Barrymore interviews people by holding them. And she also tries to get emotional and cry with people, which is what we are making fun of. And I get the shtick. I get what she's trying to do. She wants to be revolutionary. She wants to seem different. And she seems different, but different isn't always good.
Drew Barrymore interviews her guests is certifiably, clinically insane. I get it. She's not like every other interviewer. She's fun, cool, the fun aunt, you know. But what is this? But this is, what is this? Can I get some space? And just the feet, it's just, this is the worst girl at the party type behavior.
I mean, I agree with this, man. This is just unacceptable. It's weird. It's awkward. It's just like, why even have the chairs now? Why even have the chairs? Also, can you do this behind stage? Like, it's just, I mean, they know what they're doing, and that's why we're talking about it, because it grabs your attention. But if Drew Barrymore is this kind, caring person, so sweet, you know, a person of the people. It's like Princess Diana, you know, she's like the people's princess. That's what Drew Barrymore wants to be. Well, then why is she so hypocritical when it comes to her own show? She cares so much about people, but she can give a rat's ass about her writers. And she made that very clear when Drew Barrymore says her talk show will resume while there is a strike. People are picketing outside of her studio and she is walking in like there is no problem. We see the actors go on strike. We see the writers go on strike. And I mean, she should understand how important this is. This article writes, during the height of the Writers Guild of America strikes, Barrymore essentially crossed the picket line to bring her talk show back into production without its writers. This act left many people confused, angry, and disappointed, as they should, because this woman who's supposed to be so thoughtful and caring is doing the complete opposite. I mean, no other shows are continuing, but you. I mean, there's a red flag.
Barrymore and her team are breaking unity with the strike and causing great danger by trying to prove that shows like hers can move forward without professional writers. Drew Barrymore is a scab, any guest who appears on her show is a scab, and anyone who sits in the live audience is supporting scab behavior.
Now, on September 11th, 9/11/2023, Jesus, Drew Barrymore made a decision to return to the air. I like how she did on 9/11, like great, on all days to do this. She decides to announce that she's coming back with the Drew Barrymore show because she doesn't need writers. Now, her decision caused major backlash, including the National Book Foundation's choice to rescind her invitation to host the 74th National Book Awards. I didn't even know there was a National Book Awards. Look at me trying to spit that out. But yeah, even the book people, they were like, yeah, no, you suck. We don't want you to host anymore. She was losing gigs over this. In a statement shared to Instagram, Drew wrote, I have listened to everyone and I'm making the decision to pause the show's premiere until the strike is over. I have no words to express my deepest apologies to anyone I've hurt, and of course, to our incredible team who works on the show and has made it what it is today. We really tried to find our way forward, and I truly hope for a resolution for the entire industry very soon. And of course, she's issuing this apology after getting major backlash. I mean, I felt like her show was going to be canceled after this because nobody was liking her, especially in the industry. I mean, I lived in a building that had a writer there, and they were just flabbergasted at the fact that Drew would go and continue this and believe with confidence that she could run this show without any support. Drew said, I own this choice. We are in compliance with not discussing or promoting film and television that is struck of any kind. I want to be there to provide what writers do so well, which is a way to bring us together and help us make sense of the human experience. She wants us to make sense of the human experience, or she wants her show back so that she could get a paycheck. Drew actually posted an emotional video on social media where she went on to say that this was not okay and that this was not a PR situation and that she's genuinely like torn up by hurting so many people. And honestly, I do think she's upset that she did hurt so many people, but I also think that she initially made a selfish choice to try to get this show back on because she wanted to get the benefits. I mean, she also would have been like one of the only shows that was like in production. So it probably could have brought more popularity to her show because she's like the only one. So yeah, I think that she initially moved with intentions to gain, and it bit her in the ass.
I deeply apologize to writers. I deeply apologize to unions. I wanted to own a decision so that it wasn't a PR protected situation, and I would just take full responsibility for my actions. I know there's just nothing I can do that will make this okay for those it is not okay with. This is bigger than me, and there are other people's jobs on the line. I want to just put one foot in front of the other and make a show that's there for people.
So Drew is sorry if you didn't get it. That's what she's trying to say. Drew Barrymore went on to tearfully apologize, yet many people felt that their trust was lost and that in the end, actions speak louder than words, which is what I agree to. This person wrote, she's obviously reading from a script. Look at her eyes, camera to the left, script to the right. Another person writes, something just feels off when actors and actresses try to apologize. They're acting. This person commented, I had to watch this twice to confirm that it was another celebrity apology made without actually saying I was wrong. Or did someone cut out that bit? And then finally, someone commented, please don't cancel me, guys, which is exactly what Drew's trying to tell us. Also, the fact that she's reading off a script, I think just reaffirms how disingenuous this person is.
She goes on to say that if they launched the show, if the show started during a global pandemic, and that didn't stop them, why would this sideline them? It's really fucking simple. A global pandemic, we were all in the same place. A global pandemic could not be stopped. The strike, this whole issue, this could have been avoided. They tried to negotiate. There was negotiations that were made. There were decisions that were made. And the rich motherfuckers didn't want to budge and wanted to keep most of the profit of work that they clearly don't value. And the fact that you've been in this industry for so long, and the fact that people really, really, really loved you. Like, we were not expecting this.
She should have known better, she did know better, and she didn't do better, which is why we're at this point. My new favorite TikToker speaks a little bit more about this. Let's go ahead and react to how she breaks it down, because chef's kiss, she does it beautifully.
Above anyone else, Drew Barrymore should have known better. She basically like stabbed everyone in the back, you know what I mean? And she continued on with her show and did not stand in solidarity with like the fellow like artists that like worked for her, you know? And that's crazy because number one, she's Drew Barrymore. She's like an actor. She should have known better, you know what I mean? But number two, the entire premise of her show, the entire point of her show is that, but we're having these conversations and we're listening in a different way. Like we're having real conversations. And so I'm going to get real. And so to literally be that performative about it, you know what I mean? To put on that display and then to go on like when the time came and it mattered with action to sell out your own people and step over the picket line. And like, that is so low-key crazy. Like that's actually wild because that's when it matters. You know what I mean? Like that's the actual integration of like your knowledge of intersectionality and like nuance and everything.
She's so right, because that's when it does matter. So this sweet and humble person that we watch every day, where are they now? Or was that all acting? And of course, there are people on the internet, body language experts, who are reading Drew Barrymore and what she's doing and trying to make sense of it. Because again, I don't think we've ever had an interviewer who kind of behaves this way. So there's a lot to break down. Let's listen to this gentleman's opinion about her apology and why it is disingenuous.
I also believe that it's quite unclear what she's trying to accomplish with this video, because if she stands by the decision she made, she shouldn't have to apologize. And if she's apologizing, it should be a lot more clear what she's apologizing for. The wrongs that she did, it should be explained. The accountability should be there. But instead, we're getting this distancing and this ambiguity. And that's probably why she took the video down, because this didn't satisfy the critics. Those people who wanted accountability, who wanted her to realize how wrong it was, it doesn't seem like we're getting that.
Absolutely, we did not get that from the apology, and I think Drew knows it. In organizing her show's return, Drew appears to have missed the larger point. The strike is about the day-to-day conditions writers face. Yeah, it's also about a huge existential issue, recognizing that writers do work of value and deserve equal compensation for their ongoing creative contributions to an industry that can't exist or fully thrive without them. Now, when the show did go back into production, there were some scandals. For example, as the show was taped, 2 audience members were kicked out for wearing pins that supported the WGA. As I mentioned, the National Book Awards dropped Drew Barrymore as its host, citing a desire to ensure that the focus of the awards remain on celebrating writers and books. So with the public turning against her and her own industry turning against her, America's sweetheart, Drew Barrymore, didn't really know what to do with herself. She posted an apology crying on social media, but that didn't get her far. The fact that they kicked out 2 audience members because they were supporting the WGA when Drew Barrymore wasn't is enough of a problem. I mean, I think if Drew Barrymore was a real person, she would have called those 2 people out and brought them up on stage and talked to them. If you're really about the human experience, then why don't you pay attention to the human experience? Because she's giving very much elitism.
2 audience members, Dominic Turchak and Cassidy Carter, 2 New York City-based students who had signed up for free tickets to the taping, were handed WGA pins by picketers as they walked in the door and say they were asked to leave before the show began because they were wearing the pin.
In my opinion, it's so stupid that Drew tried to premiere her show early because 10 days later, the WGA strike ended. So she could have waited and avoided all of this, but I'm glad she did what she did because we got to see her true colors. When production restarted for the Drew Barrymore show, its writers took a stand, saying that they weren't coming back. Not to that boss, oh hell no. This person tweeted the Drew Barrymore writers refusing to return, Roy Wood Jr. walking away from The Daily Show. If you learned only one thing from the last 5 months, I hope it's how valuable you are. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. While I do like Drew Barrymore, I don't love her right now. I mean, just something about the show is weird. I actually want to get on there and be interviewed for by her or in association, just because I would love to see this in action. I mean, I can't imagine people in the studio witnessing these kind of moments. are just cool with it. It's got to be a little bit uneasy, and I'm sure working with her is probably a whole other story. But if you guys want me to do a deep dive on a celebrity, then leave me an email at SloanWellKnown@gmail.com or leave a comment below. I'm a little bit tired. I'm in the UK right now. It's 11:30 at night, and it feels like it's like, I guess it's like 3 p.m. back home or so. But yeah, just wanted to film this video because I love talking to you guys, and I get those endorphins when I film. And I'm in a hotel room, so that's why it doesn't look that great. Look at the mirror. It's kind of freaky, right? It looks like my own hand is going to attack me. Okay. Anyways, love you guys, and I'll see you soon. How do you say goodbye? Do British people say goodbye anyway? Taddy-o. How do British people say goodbye? I don't know. Get out. Okay. As
if they don't speak English.
I know they speak English, but they say like good day, mate. It's Australia. Okay. Bye, guys.